blink, you might miss it. Mound City is a town of just over 1,100 people, located in rural northwest Missouri. The town sits just 3 miles north of St. Joseph, but to them, it might as well be 1,000 miles away.
When I got old enough, purchased a neighboring newspaper that was close enough to where I could still use mom and dad's help, which I needed, and I still had friends around here, so that led me to Mound City. The newspaper was for sale, and I thought that the town and the county were a good place for me to be, and decided to purchase it, and that was in 2007, so going on 10 years now I've been here.
Sherry Wright began her journalism career after retiring from the Mound City School District.
I was a secretary for years and years, and raised 3 kids. Love to write, always have. So when this position became available about 4 years ago, I took it. I've enjoyed it. Like she said, I know about everybody in the area. Born and raised here, long time ago.
Sherry has spent her entire life in Mound City and is a town favorite when it comes to the newspaper. A battle with cancer has made things difficult for Sherry, but it's hard to catch her with a smile on her face.
You know, very beneficial to picking your stories and knowing the area and the economy and the ag-related part of it. I know the difference between a combine and a tractor, and some people don't know that. Just people come up to me now and say, I've got a good story for you. And that helps to know people.
But the news isn't always easy to find, so she accepts a little help from the townspeople.
People just say, hey, here's a neat guy you could write about. And so then I do research on him. They don't give me necessarily the storyline as much as just the subject. Or I have to go out and find one. You know, every week I have to have a cover story. And you know, a lot of times it's small town things you have to look for. We'll be doing a story on Mother's Day. You know, I'll find something. I'm going to talk about a mom with 4 kids under the age of 4 type thing. You know, if that's not a mother, I don't know who is. Sometimes it falls in your lap. Sometimes you're sitting there going, what am I going to write about? And then a big fire happens or something. You can put that on the front page. So
Advertisements are important to even the smallest of newspapers, especially in towns of 1,100 people.
I design ads, and I place some news on my files, and sometimes I go out and take pictures of events and write about those, but mostly I design ads and I guess answer emails and make sure people that are emailing Adam with print jobs and things like that are getting replied.
Mound City News prints out 2,400 newspapers each week, and that's with 1,100 people in town.
I feel like it's very important. Everybody needs to know what's going on in Mound City, and they do a very good job of catching all the news, sports. Everybody likes seeing the sports section. He does a really good job with that. I feel like, you know, we don't have TV station or radio, so basically the newspapers how some people find out what happened. It's just because it's a small town, everybody knows everybody, so and you know, everybody wants to know everybody's business too, so I don't know, it just, like I said, they do a good job of catching everything, really, because, you know, we're a town of 1,200 people. There's not really anything that goes on that people don't know about, whether it's in the newspaper or, you know, just word of mouth. So
Owning newspapers is not the only thing that keeps Adam and Will busy. They're also owners of Holt County Publishing, a venture they started together 5 years ago.
Well, I think most of our customers are small town customers that we print for, Falls City, Seneca, Sabetha, Savannah. You know, they're all towns of, say, 5,000 or less. And typically what we've found versus what we read and what we've talked to other newspapers, meaning the Kansas City Star, St. Joe News Press, some of the larger ones, they're actually losing more circulation than what the smaller communities lose. In the smaller communities, I think people are closer. They appreciate the effort more. We don't try to cover what the hell's happened in Iraq. You know, we leave that to somebody else. We care what happens at our school or at the nursing home, and then people care to read it. Piece of property, and the very few pieces of property that's available in Mound City. And then we sketched out some building plans for a building. And then we built the building along with a contractor. We just helped. And then we actually went and visited with a fellow in Kansas City about a newspaper press. And he located one that he thought would work for us on what we were doing, printing weekly newspapers in this area. And that press was in Anchorage, Alaska. So we bought it and they shipped it to us.
It is truly a family business. Adam started working with his mother and father at a young age and never really quit.
They complement each other, whether it's, volatile or not. Of course, Adam usually has the last word, but his mom is terribly essential to this practice because of her editing skills and just her level-headedness when things might get volatile. She's right there to kind of calm everybody down. Will knows more in his little finger than most people in the newspaper business know, and completely. He's very knowledgeable, but he also concedes to Adam many times. It's interesting because over the noon hour, they'll sit in here and just carry on huge conversations about the business, and they're very respectful of each other, and I think that's essential in running a good family business.
The printing starts when the company receives the PDF files from all the different newspapers that they print for. Holt County Publishing prints papers from as far south as Platte County to Savannah, and even the Missouri Western School newspaper.
After we finished viewing all those PDFs, we load those up to the server that operates the plate making machine. And there again, every customer's got a folder, and we drag the PDFs from this desktop over to that hard drive. Bring it over to the plate vendor. Put 3 bins in it, and that's what will hold it on the cylinder that's on the press.
The weekly newspaper has found a way to stay relevant in a time where bigger newspapers across the country are laying off employees, or worse, closing their doors. It could be a sign that weekly newspapers are the future of print journalism. The future is always uncertain in the news industry. Like life, tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. But for now, the Mound City News has found a way to stay relevant in an industry that at times can be very unforgiving.